Which one do you think has caused more damage to the environment? Overpopulation, like in India, or overconsumption, like in America? Why do you think we are still unable to utilize clean sources of energy? And what does it take to fix the environment? Hello, everyone, and welcome to English for a Better World. I hope you're ready for another deep and fun lesson. So, today we will look at one of the two major existential threats facing humanity, besides the possibility of nuclear war: climate change. So, how did we get here? Well, to find out, let's get into the lesson. Living for a better environment. What story do you think the pictures tell? Take a good look at them. And in fact, our lesson is about this story, the story these pictures tell. Now, let's look at the highlights of our lesson. The theme, of course, is environment and how damaged the environment is. Vocabulary, you will learn how to describe environmental problems. And our grammar is real conditional, very useful grammar lesson. And finally, we have a lecture, small talk about economic growth at all cost. And let's begin with the vocabulary of this lesson. Find the odd one out. Give reasons. Alternative energy, clean energy, renewable energy. Solar, wind, coal. Corporate interest, corporate profit, profit-based. Scarcity, available, abundance. To rise, to increase, to abandon, to destroy, to replace, to damage, to get in the way, to prevent, to get somewhere. And now, to get an idea of how these words are used in context, do the exercise. Read the sentences carefully and circle the correct answer. Now, why don't we use clean energy? Well, let's ask a few people about that. So, Osman, why don't we use clean energy? Standard solar panels are expensive, $400 for an 80-watt panel, and they don't generate enough power to compensate for the one-time expense. 80 watts isn't enough for most standard light bulbs, let alone a TV, refrigerator, or much else. Well, so what do you think, guys? Do you think Osman is right about this? Patrice, why don't we use clean energy? Sadly, somehow we have gradually become so accustomed to the quick and easy fix by just pushing a button for comfort that we now have ourselves in a mess. Going green, solar, is not initially quick and easy, but investing in the effort will pay off for everyone. Well, apparently Patrice disagrees with Osman. How about you guys? And what about you, Paco? Why don't we use clean energy? Well, as long as we have oil and other resources to burn, humankind will never use solar energy massively. It's all about money making. That's why Bush invaded Iraq, I mean, killing people in the Middle East and taking their oil is cheaper. Well, it's hard to disagree with that, but that's my opinion. How about you guys? What do you think? Okay, Lemis, why don't we use clean energy? The actual reason we do not use it is because the CEOs of our main current energy source, oil, have a habit of handing money and favors to government officials in exchange for favorable legislation, keeping oil as the main energy source. In that way, those CEOs continue to make tremendous amounts of money, even as other significantly better sources, of which solar is one, are already present and ready to go. Well, again, it's all about oil. So, guys, tell us what you think. Dialogue. Well, look at the pictures. All about the bottom line, isn't it? Solar powered car pumping oil, and that's what we need: collective action. Well, listen to the dialogue and answer the questions.
John, that documentary on global warming is really shocking. I mean, humans, especially in the so called developed world, are destroying the environment and they don't seem to care. Ali, I didn't realize how damaged our environment has become until I watched that documentary. It's all about the bottom line at whatever cost. Chico, I just know one thing for sure. Our environment won't survive if we don't change our ways. For example, we have the technology to replace fossil fuel with clean energy sources such as solar and wind, but as you said, corporate interests always get in the way. John, that's right. Since profit can only be made under conditions of scarcity, clean energy sources are not good for profit because they are abundant. By the way, I read somewhere that Toyota has produced the first solar powered car, and I hope other car manufacturing companies will follow suit. Ali, actually, there's a lot we can do to help protect the environment. For instance, we can recycle, but again, it's not profitable for corporate business because when we recycle, we use the same materials instead of throwing it away. Chico, it makes me angry when I think that our profit based way of thinking and living is preventing us from having a better world. John, I see what you mean. People need to become aware of that possibility and then do something to make it happen. Luckily, there's a growing awareness of environmental problems, and hopefully, we will see meaningful collective action soon. Ali, as long as we don't deal with the root causes of these problems, we will get nowhere.
Well, now let's look at different ways of relating to the earth, different attitudes to the earth. How do we see it? Well, let's begin with the first quote, but first enjoy that beautiful picture. We do not inherit the earth from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children. This is a Native American proverb, and it tells you a lot about how Native Americans see the earth, how they perceive it. Well, obviously, we wouldn't be in this mess today if we actually look at the earth the way they do. Now, let's contrast that attitude with what we have today in the world. The dogma of infinite economic growth has laid waste to the environment, and the picture describes the whole story. Unfortunately, this is what's happening, and that's how we got into this mess today, right now, this existential threat. This dogma of infinite economic growth, more and more and more and more and more money. Now let's look at who's doing the most damage to the earth. We're talking about ecological footprint. Well, and the way to find out about this is just by asking simple question. How many earth would we need if everyone lived like you? So, or like the USA residents. If you look at USA, we would need 5.1 Earth. And let's compare that to India, 0.8 Earth, which basically not even one Earth, if everybody lived like an Indian. Well, I think the inescapable conclusion is quite clear. The more developed a country is considered to be, the more damage it does to the environment. Well, I think people who live in the developed world should be very happy that not everybody lives like they do. Well, now our talk. And the talk is about how we got here. Well, if you look at the two pictures, you probably get an idea of how we got here. Well, listen carefully to this talk and answer the questions. Of course, it's a good idea to read the questions first.
The fight against climate change is a fight against capitalism. Global warming, which is caused by human activity, is rooted in a social and economic system that has a parasitoid relationship to the earth upon which we live. Capitalism as a system is highly exploitative of both people and planet. It's driven by a desperate need for profit and accumulation. That is the overriding priority. Companies might greenwash. BP, British Petroleum, changing its logo to the green flower is the most infamous example. But we live in a world where the polar ice caps melt and then oil companies go in to tap the ground for previously unobtainable deposits of oil.
While some reforms will no doubt happen as we approach the 2030 deadline, it's apparent that left on its own, our economic system will continue to destroy the basis for life on this planet until it is too late. No wonder Elon Musk is planning on establishing a colony on Mars. The 1% are already endgaming a strategy to get the hell out of here. But there is no escape for the rest of us. The urgency of the time we're living in has seen movements like Extinction Rebellion and the school climate strikers led by Greta Thunberg hit the street. They are taking matters into their own hands through direct action protests to try and force policy changes in government. As we approach climate catastrophe, what will be urgently needed is a global democratic plan for the economy to ensure that what resources are left are distributed properly and we can organize our society effectively and fairly when we might be dealing with the effects of climate change for generations to come. Capitalism is simply incompatible with social justice and living in harmony with the earth, so it has to be changed and changed quickly. The clock is ticking. Grammar focus, present real conditional. Well, if we want to talk about factual situations or something that is generally true, then you need to use the first form. If when, simple present in the if clause, and in the main clause we also have simple present. And if water is heated, it boils. That's factual, right? If I have a day off, I read a book. That's what I generally do. Now let's look at the second structure where we have simple present in the if clause and will, can, and may in the main clause. Now we use the second structure to talk about future possibilities, right? So if the climate continues to change, there will be terrible disasters. That is absolutely true, unfortunately. Well, a quick note, both if and when are used in the present real conditional. However, there's a difference. Use if something happens less frequently. Use when if something happens regularly. If it's raining, I take an umbrella. When I have a day off from work, I often go to the beach. Okay, now complete these sentences using if or when. Well, this is the end of our lesson today. And so let's conclude this lesson with take-home message as usual. What have you learned from this lesson? What's preventing the world from using clean energy? How practical is the idea of infinite economic growth? Should be gross. How has your country been affected by climate change? And finally, what's driving climate change? Well, I hope now you know what it takes to fix the environment. System change. See you next week.